Thank you, Jeffrey, again for inviting me here today. It's wonderful to be with you guys. Oh, that's back. There we go. So my name is Zayde. I'm the founder of Bar 9 here in Los Angeles. We're a coffee roasting company and cafe. Been around for about 4.5 years. I think the focus that I want to talk about are values. We all have them as people, right? It's what guides us. And it's what my partner Jeremy and I, when we started the company, what we wanted to guide us in our actions as a business. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So for us, it's all about the guest. When we started the company, that was the first priority. I've been working in cafes, managing as a barista, and saw a lot of small ways where we thought we could do a little bit better by the guest. And I love the idea of being of service completely, to give with no expectation of return. And we wanted that to be felt in every part of our operations as a business. But I also, it's nice to be here talking with you guys all today, but I don't consider myself an expert in this at all. I feel like I'm still learning and growing. 10 years in, it's been a wonderful journey so far. But we're here to learn, to get better, and I think all of us here are the same. That's one thing that connects all of us, is we're all growing in all the work that we do. And so what I had, though, I didn't have traditional business schooling. I worked right out of high school. I didn't go to business school or college. I worked very hard, 70, 80 hours a week for quite a long time. But the tangible asset that I thought I had that we could bring was the ability to dream and to have an imagination, something we're all born with as children. So one of the things that we wanted to try to do in the space was let our dreams run wild and try not to fit into any box that existed already. So we really wanted to take the expected form of the cafe and do something that was new, that was different, that we thought was very exciting. And I think for all of us in this room, we're all storytellers. Everybody that came up and spoke today, some wonderful people in this industry, in all of our positions, that's really what we're doing. We're trying to communicate with the guest, with our board, with clients. We're telling a story, and that's no more true than baristas at the front counter. One of our baristas, Annie, who's terrific. We're here to tell a larger story, why we do what we do. And so in thinking about that too, and thinking about the guest being the first priority, that's why we're also a roaster. We can roast and we can sell wholesale, and we do. We can do a home subscription and do a lot of things that are pragmatic reasons to roast. We do all of these things. But the reason we really do it is because we're thinking about the guest, and if we're sourcing coffee with the guest in mind, it's a lot better than, and we work with Samuel right here with Kefa, who's terrific. We can really tell the story that we want to tell through our business. And this is, so I was a Steve Jobs fanatic while he was alive, which watched all of his keynotes religiously. He often referenced this quote, that people who are really serious about software should make their own hardware. That inspired me a lot in designing the cafe and the total experience. We've got our house-made chai in a bottle right there, house-made hazelnut milk. Pretty much anything that we can produce ourselves, we do. We feel like that's the best way to really present that fully realized experience. But one of the bigger things that we wanted to do in thinking about our values was thinking about how we can make a positive impact in the world around us. I often believe that small business is one of the more powerful ways to impact positive change in a community. For instance, here in California, we have a styrofoam ban. You have to have, you pay 10 cents when you get a reusable bag, and that's through legislation, and that's fantastic. But one of the things about being a small business is that we can make an immediate change in our day-to-day operations that can really affect the people outside of our four walls. So the big idea that we had in the beginning was we didn't want to have any disposable cups. We're all used to them in all of our cafes, going through hundreds or thousands sometimes in a month. But to me, it represents a big problem. One of the big things was obviously the waste factor. Billions and billions of paper cups are thrown away from coffee shops every year. From a taste perspective as well. We all know drinking out of paper, not so pleasant. It puts an off taste on the coffee, and we put a lot of work into it. We want it to taste fantastic. So I found this stat a couple years ago. This was based on a 2016 study. This is just in the United States. 25 billion paper cups are thrown away every year. Around the world, that number is a lot higher. I don't know what it is. We really didn't want to contribute to that problem, so that was, that was the reason behind our glass jar program that we've been running with for almost 5 years. But it was scary. The finance team in the business wasn't sure about it. It's going to cost us a lot more money to get going. And ultimately, we have to weigh, is that risk worth it to us in anything that we do in our businesses? So, of course, we looked at all options. We considered doing a compostable cup as a standard with a glass option for takeaway. We looked at a few different companies doing something specific, custom for us. But we really thought that if you're going to affect change, you've just got to go all the way. If we give someone an option that can be thrown away, they're going to go for it. So we thought, you know what, let's just go for it. Let's follow our limbic system, our brain, our intuition, and go with a glass jar instead. So this costs us about 5 times as much as doing a paper cup. That's before the lid. But it's a pretty amazing thing. When you give someone a glass for them to take away, while we talked about, giving with no expectation of return, this is one area where it's not true. And in hospitality, it's a pretty powerful concept. When you can give someone something and say, I trust you with this. It's a pretty profound moment. We have a lot of people that have been very surprised to this day. A lot of people, when they come in, they don't know we're doing the glass program. And they say, I wanted this to go. And we say it is. It's a pretty amazing feeling. And it also, at that moment, it changes how somebody thinks about what their experience is. Everyone's used to getting things to go. It's wonderful, easy. We're going in and out of our days. But sometimes when you present someone with that glass option, they'll go, you know what? I'll just take 5 minutes, and I'll just enjoy it for here today. That happens very often, and now we're at a point where about 50 to 60% of our business day to day is for here. I like that a lot. I like being able to spend a few minutes with a guest and really try to connect with them. When we started, we were trying to weigh the finances of it all. So we initially started with a $1 fee for the jars. It wasn't a deposit. You bought the jar once, you returned it, and then you don't have to pay the $1 again. But of course, in doing that, the conversation wasn't about sustainability. It wasn't about the jar. It was about the $1 that we were charging. So we talked about it a lot internally, and within a couple of months of opening, we decided let's take the $1 charge away. I think my accountant wanted to kill me when I did that, but it worked out really, really well. And we just, we made sure with every guest, we just asked them, please return this on your next visit. And that worked out really well. We started to get up to 50 to 60% returns on the jars. A couple years later, my controller came to me and said, Zayde, our cost of goods sold is going down quite a lot every month with our jar program. I think we should try to get more, though, get more back. And he suggested to me that we start offering a quarter back for every jar that we got, which at first I was not very excited about. I thought, says Sean, that's fantastic, but we're already paying a lot for these jars. And he said, let's just give it a try. Let's see if it promotes more engagement. And it did. So we've been open for 4.5 years. Our cost of goods sold is lower with glass jars than it would be with paper cups. My apologies for the dry mouth. And that's if we're getting the cheapest 10-cent paper cups that we can get. We've been calculating it. And we've saved, with our little low-volume cafe in Culver City, about 250,000 cups over the past 4 or 5 years. I'm really proud of that. No matter what else we've accomplished, that makes me feel really good. And then one of the things beyond that, too, is just to share what we've learned. I think I would have loved more guidance in my career from people, so one of the things that we try to do is open up our doors with free coffee tastings. We'll do some speeches at some restaurant management classes and just try to give back to our community through our experience, what we've learned. And then there's going to be a lot of people in our work that tell us when we do something different, that we shouldn't do it. I've had quite a few. Let's sit here. I've had quite a few people that said that we've had some, we shouldn't do a lot of the things that we've done, including we've had a gratuity-free model where we pay people better, we give them good wages and benefits, and we don't accept tips. In addition to the JAR program, we also transitioned to being completely solar powered over the past 2 years. And I've learned with those people, you just nod your head, you smile, and then you forget what they said, and you follow your gut. And then I think that's the big thing for us is that we want to keep moving forward, keep growing, and keep offering better to our guests, the people that we serve, and create something new every day. I'm reminded of a wonderful line in Annie Hall. It was about relationships being like a shark. They have to constantly move forward or they die. I've always felt that's true in business as well. I've been managing cafes for about 8 years, and that's been kind of the through point for me is to follow those values or my intuition and to try to do better than we did the previous day, pardon me. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride so far. So thank you guys so much for having me. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.